If you want to learn how to paint this realistic snake, I got it all broken down in this full tutorial for you. So I paint the snake in honor of Lunar New Year. This year is the year of the snake. So we start this off with 2 coats of black. Afterwards, I use a white here. I'm just getting the basic outlines of this snake, kind of like I'm getting a silhouette of the whole entire snake. I'm trying to figure out where his head goes and the complete shape of it. It does really help to have a nice reference picture to go off of and kind of look back at every now and then, glancing at it and just kind of adding to it as you go. I do like to fill in this whole entire thing because I know green is not really solid. It doesn't really fill over black really nicely. So I do have to have a nice white base to start off so that my colors pop. After that, I can go ahead and start putting in the details of the snake. Like most of my artwork, I try to achieve a realistic look. However, it's not hyper realistic. I do have real clients where I do nail art on, and it does need to be done in a timely manner. So with that in mind, I start this off with putting different shades of green here. I put a lighter shade on one side and then the darker shade on the opposite side. The snake is kind of twirling and twisting in this image, so I have to keep that in mind as I paint out my design. I will go ahead and fill in the whole entire thing here. I don't really switch brushes very often. I'm using a pointed brush. It has a lot of volume, but yet I can get really fine details in there by just using the point of it. Right now, I'm just looking at my reference picture, making sure that I have the darks where they belong and also the lights. And at the same time, I'm just looking at the back image of it. I'm not looking at all of the colors in the forefront. Now I can go ahead and draw in the scales. I'm just kind of putting them wherever. I'm not really basing everything off of the image because this is kind of in the background for the most part. Your eyes aren't so focused on it. I'm not trying to spend a lot of time on things that your eyes aren't focused on. I think the main point here is the snake's face. So I do spend a lot of time here making sure that the shading is in the right spots. Right now I'm doing the shadowing above its eye. I think that's really important, so I spend a lot of my time here and focusing on all of that. He does have his little mouth here. I use black just to figure out where that should go, and then I work around it. I use the very point of my brush to create those really fine black lines. The snake's eye is a really circular shape here, so I'm using my brush from the center and then spreading it out, making it bigger as I go. I don't want to start out too big and make it look kind of weird. Right here, I'm just adding the little line to show that his body is twisted and kind of contorted in this design. I use it straight black. If I was trying to be hyper realistic, I wouldn't use black to shade, but when we're in a time crunch and we've got that client waiting, we really want to make use of our colors of what we have already on our brush. Now I'm kind of going in and reshaping his head. Since I have a really nice black background, this makes it really easy because it just covers up a lot of our mistakes. Now I'm still using that same brush, except now my brush isn't loaded with a ton of color. I'm using the very point. I have very little gel on there. I'm going around the eyes, making his little scales, and I come in and same thing, looking at the reference picture, seeing where all of these little lines go. They are extremely fine, so you just have to keep in mind that if it's not perfect, it's gonna look really off, but you can't really beat yourself up too much, especially when you're working on a client and you've got clients waiting on you. You know that your time is really limited and you gotta make the most of it. So you kind of leave it as it is. I come in and do the highlights on the face here and do some highlights on the body as well. I do come back in and kind of touch up some of those spots where it's maybe a little too dark, and I just lightly add some more green. I add some more black around his mouth. I think it needed some more darkness in there, some more details around his scales. So I come back in and make sure I do all of that. It does seem to complete the image a little bit better. I add more shades of green. I do finish this off with a nice glossy top coat. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I hope you guys enjoy this design. If you like any of these other ones that you see, we have those videos coming out soon, or they might be a past video as well.
Then there it is, the perfect snake.